Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Continuing to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 11. We're reading how after Mother Sita she left, then Lord Ramacandra he performed the yajna for 13,000 years. And then he also left the planet for his abode to Vaikuntha, the Vaikuntha planets. Only the devotees have access to the Vaikuntha planets. One who's not a devotee cannot reach them. And Sukadev Goswami says that the glories of Lord Ramachandra are sung all over the universe. Everywhere they are being sung. When Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva sing the glories of Lord Ram. Going on. Sa ye sprishto bhidrishto va
स ये स्पृष्टो भवृष्टो
samvishto nugato piva
संविष्टो नुगतोऽपि वा
kosalaste yayusthanam
कोसलास्ते
yatra gachanti yoginaha.
यत्र गच्छन्ति योगिनः
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Ramachandra returned to his abode, to which bhakti yogis are promoted. This is the place to which all the inhabitants of Ayodhya went after they served the Lord in his manifest pastimes by offering him obeisances, touching his lotus feet, fully observing him as a father-like king, sitting or lying down with him like equals, or even just accompanying him. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma cha me divyam, evam yoveti tattvataha, tyaktva deham punarjanma, naiti mameti sorjana. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita that those who know that uh, my appearance, my activities, my pastimes are all spiritual, eternal, transcendental, then they also come to this spiritual world with me. They come to where I stay. Here it is confirmed. Here this is confirmed. All the inhabitants of Ayodhya who saw Lord Ramachandra as citizens, served him as servants, sat and talked with him as friends, or were somehow or other present during his reign, went back home, back to Godhead. After giving up the body, the devotee who becomes perfect in devotional service enters that particular universe where Lord Ramachandra or Lord Krishna is engaged in his pastimes. Then, after being trained to serve the Lord in various capacities in that Prakata Leela, the devotee is finally promoted to Sanatan Dham, the supreme abode in the spiritual world. So, a pure devotee, after he gives up his body, then he takes his birth in a universe where Lord Krishna or Lord Ram, they're having their pastimes. And then in over there, he's trained to serve Krishna. And after that, then he goes to the Vaikuntha planet, to the spiritual sky, to the spiritual world. There is no difference actually, because when he's taking birth, he's where Krishna is having pastimes, he's already in Krishna's pastimes, so there's no difference then for him being born in the material world or going to the spiritual world. because he's with Krishna. Then wherever Krishna is, that becomes the spiritual world. Is that okay? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Shilpa ji.
Hare
So
Krishna. Yeah.
that means that all the gopis and everybody, or like even like how we read about all the uh, citizens, so that means that they will go to another kalpa, like wherever this is happening, right? This means that because
Well, not the
Krishna.
gopis, because the gopis are already in Krishna's pastimes. So
Okay.
suppose, for
Hmm.
example, how we
Hmm.
hear that the sages of Dandakaranya forest,
Okay.
for example, they had a desire to
Okay.
be with Krishna.
Hmm. Hmm.
So then they were born as gopis. So they didn't go
Okay.
immediately to spiritual world. They took
Got your
birth
point.
to
Hmm.
take part in Krishna's pastimes in the material
Hmm.
world. Then
Hmm.
from there go to the spiritual world.
Okay. Okay.
So
Got your
then
point.
one is, yeah, and then one takes a birth to take part in Krishna's pastimes so that one can be trained of how to serve, before one goes to the spiritual world. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
all right. This Sanatan Dham is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Parastasmatu bhavanyo vyakto vyaktat sanatana. One who enters the transcendental pastimes of the Lord is called Nitya Leela Pravishta. So, Nitya Leela Pravishta. To understand clearly why Lord Ramacandra returned, it is mentioned herewith that the Lord went to that particular place where the Bhakti yogis go. The impersonalists misunderstand the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam to mean that the Lord entered his own effulgence and therefore become impersonal. But the Lord is a person, and his devotees are persons. Indeed, the living entities like the Lord were persons in the past, they are persons in the present, and they will continue to be persons even after giving up the body. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that someone may misunderstand when it's mentioned that Lord Ramachandra, he's entering into his effulgence. So someone may think that, oh, then Lord Ramachandra just becomes light. No, Lord Ramachandra is eternal. He lives eternally. And when he goes to the spiritual world, he continues to live there eternally in the spiritual planet called Ayodhya. In the spiritual sky, there is Ayodhya also. So where the devotees of Lord Ram go. So all the devotees who were present in the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, they went with him to the spiritual sky, to the to Ayodhya in the spiritual sky. So that's an important point to understand. The Lord is eternal. We are also eternal. If we were always existing before, we are existing now, and we will continue to exist. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So it means like when whenever incarnation, Lord incarnation happened, and at that time, whoever were there with Krishna Leela or Ramchandra, with Ramchandra or maybe Narsimha Dev, so they all went to that place with the Lord
You
after
mean to
they
the
did
spiritual
case.
sky with the
Yeah,
Lord?
spiritual sky. Yeah.
So, yeah, so for example, then it also depends which devotee you are, what part you played in that pastime. For example, with Krishna, gopis, they went back. Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda, they all go to Golok Vrindavan, right? Then
Mm.
we hear in the Yadu
Mhm.
dynasty also, they go back, but then there were some of them who were um, incarnations of demigods. So then they didn't go to the spiritual sky. They went again to where their planets were, the demigods, because they still had their own services to do, you know. So this point will come up in when we read the 10th canto,
Okay. Okay.
when the
Actually, yeah.
yadus. So it
Yeah.
depends then who is taking part in that lila and what
Okay.
part they are playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because it was written, na, ki like God trained as per their
Yes.
service.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here also again the karma, right?
Yeah.
We can say like
Karma,
karma,
the desire. Yeah.
desire, materialistic things, whatever, like
Ye-
passion, goodness, mode of passion, goodness, and ignorance, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Also, okay.
Because somebody who was with Krishna but they didn't accept he's God,
Mm-hmm.
then, so everyone will have again different destinations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, got it. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Purusho Rama Charitam
Purusho
Purusho Rama Charitam
Shavaner Upadharayan
Ravane
Shravanayan
Upadhyayam
Upadhyaranam
Anrasham Sya Paro Rajan
Anrishamyasya
Paruraja
Purorajan
Karma Bandher Vimuchyate.
Karma
Karma
Bandhe
Bhatir Vimuchyate.
O King Parikshit, anyone who orally receives the narrations concerning the characteristics of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activities. Here in this material world, everyone is envious of someone else. Even in religious life, it is sometimes found that if one devotee has advanced in spiritual activities, other devotees are envious of him. Such envious devotees are not completely freed from the bondage of birth and death. As long as one is not completely free from the cause of birth and death, one cannot enter the Sanatan Dham or the eternal pastimes of the Lord. So, envy, Srila Prabhupada is saying, in the material world, each of us are potentially envious of each other. We are here in the material world because of envy. So this envy, Prabhupada is saying, can even be among devotees, where one may get envious that, oh, why, how come the other devotee is doing so much? So till the time one has this envy, then one cannot go to the spiritual world, or one cannot take pastimes in the eternal pastimes of the Lord, cannot take part. One becomes envious because of being influenced by the designations of the body. But the liberated devotee has nothing to do with the body, and therefore he is completely on the transcendental platform. A devotee is never envious of anyone, even his enemy, because the devotee knows that the Lord is his supreme protector. He thinks, what harm can the so-called enemy do? Thus, a devotee is confident about his protection. So devotee is not envious. Devotee does not look at anybody else that he is my enemy, he's my competitor, he's going to harm me, because he's completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord, completely surrendered. The Lord says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tatheva bhajami aham. According to the proportion of one's surrender to me, I respond accordingly. A devotee must therefore be completely free from envy, especially of other devotees. To envy other devotees is a great offense, a Vaishnava prad. A devotee who constantly engages in hearing and chanting, Shravan Kirtan, is certainly freed from the disease of envy, and thus he becomes eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. So envy is very deep rooted in us. So Prabhupada is saying how to get rid of this envy by hearing and chanting. Here Sukadev Goswami is also saying that one who hears the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, then he will be free from envy. Give up one can be free from envy and thus get liberated. Become a pure devotee. Prabhupada is mentioning to envy others is Vaishnava aparad, offense to the devotee if we are being envious of them. Envy. Then how to get free from envy?
Hearing and chanting.
Yeah.
By hearing and
Hearing
chanting.
and chanting.
And
Yes.
try to avoid Vaishnava aparadha also.
Yes. So how to try to avoid Vaishnava aparad?
Like constantly engage by hearing and chanting what Neha said here just now.
Yeah. Constantly engage in hearing and chanting. Then we will be able to give up this tendency even to do Vaishnava aparad.
Hare
Of
Krishna.
course, when we have done Vaishnava aparad, then we have to ask for forgiveness from the devotee. If it's possible physically, if not physically possible, personally possible, then we can mentally ask for forgiveness from the devotee and from Lord Krishna. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Sneha.
Hare Krishna. So that means envy is the perverted reflection, right, of love for Krishna, love of Krishna. We can say
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, we
Correct?
can. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you have love for Krishna, love of God, then you will not have that envy in you,
That's right.
right?
Yeah, that's right. So anyone who has love for Krishna cannot have envy. He won't be envious.
So, like you're talking about a pure devotee, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because the pure devotee only has pure love for Krishna, and then they will not be envious. But like people like us, we are not pure devotees, we are just practicing, and we might claim that I love Krishna, but we are envious.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yes. On the material, because we are all still conditioned. We are on the material
Hmm.
platform. Our consciousness is material. So there is envy.
Yeah.
And that's why we are being suggested, we are repeatedly reminded, hear and chant, hear and chant. Repeatedly reminded of this. To let go of our envy, our lust, our greed. Mm.
So it's not that, like how Sukhdev Goswami said, that by hearing Krishna, it's not the, like how he gives the boon. It's not that, right? Yet.
Yeah, it is. He's saying here,
It
one
is
who's
kind of.
hearing Lord
Okay.
Ramachandra's pastime
Hmm.
will
He gets free from.
ultimately he will
Hmm.
be free from disease of envy.
Okay. So it's
So
like
one
kind of a
who's,
boon.
yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. Because it's
Okay.
his purifying, right? To hear about
Hmm.
the Lord,
Hmm.
his incarnations, his pastimes. And that's
Hmm.
what we are required to do.
Hmm.
At our stage, we are like required that you hear and chant the pastimes of the Lord. When one is a pure devotee, they relish.
Hmm.
They
They
can't
relish, yeah.
they can't stop to hear and chant about the Lord. So there's a difference there. And then
Hmm.
they really relish the pastimes of the Lord. For us, it is like okay, you must do this. Yeah. So like gradually, we can also actually relish pastimes of the Lord. So by hearing from Ramayana and hearing pastimes of Lord Ramacandra, one can give up this envy, free from envy. Shri Rajo Vacha. Katham sa Bhagavan Ramo Bhratrin va swayam atmanah asmin vate vartanta praja paurascha ishvare. Maharaj